Nev Campbell is back as Sidney Prescott in Scream 7, coming in on the tomato meter at a whopping 35% by critics, 76 by the audience. So the critics are not liking this movie. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be telling you that this one is probably not the best one. But by no imagination is this the worst one. This is not a terrible film. In fact, when I was watching it, it kind of made me feel like we were watching an Elseworlds movie of Scream. But then it's got familiar characters. Well, that's McKenna Grace there, by the way. It's got familiar characters like Gail and Sydney. So it took me a while to get into it. It really did. Like the opening scene for this one, I think, is going to tell the tale for a lot of people because it's going to be like, well, this opening scene isn't the greatest. You guys have heard me talk about the importance of a good opening scene, right? You've got to be able to sell this movie in the first few minutes and tell us sort of what we're getting into, right? And the trailer kind of shows you the opening sequence, so it's a little lackluster. It's a little lackluster, and there's a few winks and nods in there of kind of like, we're teasing you with the possibility of somebody big coming back into this franchise. Actually, now thinking about it, I kind of liked it, but it wasn't by means the best opening. And I think that's where a lot of people would just be like, well, it's not really working for me. I'm kind of bored with this. Why are we just spending a lot of time with the daughter and getting to know them? Okay, it feels a little bit like Halloween here, a bit with the three of them. I don't really care about this character. But then when you actually stop and think about it, that's the backbone of this movie. That's the heart of this movie. It's the mother-daughter relationship and why Sydney is trying to like protect her, but uh, she's trying to protect her too much, like shield her from like her past. And there's a lot of interesting dramatic narratives that could be taken out of that. And I think this movie tries to explore that. And I think that's where maybe an eighth one would go. But when I was finished watching this one, I was like, yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. And I know that a lot of people are going to be telling you that this is the worst Scream movie ever. And it's not by far the best one, but it's also not terrible. I'll tell you this, guys, and this is what you need to know. I just like being in this universe. I like to see Nev Campbell as Cindy, and she's still got it. Uh, you still buy into her character. You buy into what made her so attractive and appealing in the first movies because she's got that zeal, she's got that tenacity in her, and she's trying to instill that in her daughter. And I found myself well, not mildly. I was engaged in this film, and I could see that maybe some people would say that it kind of fell apart towards the third act of the movie. But for me, I found myself going along with it. So Scream 7 says when a new ghost-faced killer emerges in town where Sidney Prescott has built a new life, her darkest fears are realized as her daughter becomes the next target. And that's peppered all throughout all the trailers that you've seen. But Courtney Cox is back, and this Isabel May as Tatum. I wasn't sold on her at first, but then she's got some really good scenes in here where I was like, she's a good actress. This Isabel May. Uh, at first, I would have been like, well, you got McKenna Grace. Use McKenna Grace. Why aren't you using her? But then, Isabel May was able to hold her own, and I was pleasantly surprised with that chemistry that they had as mother daughter. It really worked. And then, of course, if you didn't know by now who is in this movie, uh, Stu. Uh, when he shows up, just put a big, huge smile on my face. And it's like, well, how are they going to do that, guys? He's dead. Well, the movie talks about that. The movie explains that. And it's just cool to see Matthew Lillard give us this performance. It's just, I wasn't expecting it to be as well executed as it was, because you saw that the critics and the bandwagon is going to be hating on this. They're going to be poo pooing all over this. And guys, I think this is going to be one where you'll be like, yeah, your initial reaction is that I wanted to love this movie, but I'm not loving it, so therefore I don't like it. But then when you sit back and you actually think about it, this one's a little bit more of a dramatic entry in this franchise. This one is a little bit more slower in tone. It's not flashy. It doesn't have a whole bunch of characters that jump off the page at you, because it's mostly about the mother and daughter uh, relationship. And I dug that. I dug that. Granted, it was a weak third act, and the reveal was just kind of like, okay, I think I kind of know where you're going, because um, you introduced this one character who's a very familiar actor, and yeah. And is the reveal any great revelation? Not really, because mostly you're just there to watch how the heck is Stu back in this film, right? But it's just, um, it gave me nostalgia being back and seeing some of those older characters and talking about the other old characters. As I said, I just like being in this world, and a lot of people are going to be really harsh with their scores on this film. But as you saw from the tomato meter there, that the audience is not being as harsh as the critics. They're about 76. And when we talk about this on my score sheet here, we'll try to figure out why exactly that is. So, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. Cinematography and score are out of a 1 point possibility. And acting, I will give 1.5, because Nev Campbell is awesome. And Isabel May also great. I think this is probably the end, though, for Gail Weathers. I don't think we really need her anymore. And they should be moving on from these older characters, right? Uh, they can say goodbye to some of these older ones, because yeah, we've got our fodder with the younger crowd again. Then some people need to die, right? uh I just, I feel like, okay, fine, if we want to go back with Sydney's storyline and the mother-daughter thing, I'm fine with that. I really am. I just don't want to see Sydney die. That's all I really don't. Like, it felt safe after 4 when we were handing it off to the other the other crew here, and I felt like, okay, good. Where she has her happily ever after kind of thing, but this one, it brought me back in, and I felt those stakes. I did. So, and that was based on Nev Campbell and Isabel May. So, acting for that, Kevin Williamson, director. Uh, he wrote the first ones, so technically, it was well shot. A lot of dark scenes in there. There's a lot of ghostly imagery in here too that I really admired. You can see that some of the passion in here come through from the cinematography aspect. The execution of the story, uh, I'm going to reserve the right to come back to that one, because the story is pretty straightforward. Once you realize that certain factors are at play here to bring Stu back, then it's kind of like, okay, well, I kind of get where that's going, and you kind of, you don't really want to know about the real killers, kind of thing. It's just like, um, just give me back Stu. You explained it so easily, and I think everybody would have gone along with that explanation. I think everybody would have gone along with that, and have some big climactic thing between her, Sydney, and Stu. I think um, there's some story beats in here that just like, it's dicey, but I rolled with it because I'm a Scream fan. I let it slide because I'm a fan of like this franchise. So we'll stick with that. But the cinematography, I'm going to give a full point to, because that's good. And then it's got some really good needle drops in there. Again, the soundtrack I think will resonate for a lot of people. I'm going to give that a full point as well, because it's really those needle drops and those transitions with the beats that just kind of like help elevate these types of films. And We're sitting at 5.5 right now for Scream 7. Let's go back to the tomato meter and see what has the critics all in a kerfuffle here. So 35%, it is low, right? That means there's a lot wrong with this film. Uh, and I'm hopefully articulating good reasons here why it's not as bad as you think that it is. So let's see what the critics are saying. 1 out of 4. Travers take. It's disposable, defanged thrills feel like chat GPT prompts fed the wrong info about what constitutes scary. The result drops the ball on gore, giggles, and a reason to care. The same old regurgitated slasher mush. Hamburger helpered with a dash of AI. Wow. Um, but see, there's something about these takes that feel like this is what you wanted to say about the film, guys. I'm not feeling like a good reason here for you to be like hating on this, other than that's just what the consensus is. So you want to roll with the consensus so that you don't get poo pooed on. And yes, I know people will be like, oh, you like Scream 7? Thumbs down. It's like, well, yes, I did. I'm sorry. I like Scream 7. But I'm not gonna like go along with the rest of the crowd. I just can't do it. Somebody who's middle of the road here. While it delivers some inventive brutality, Scream 7 offers up no meaningful genre subversion or real twists of the knife in terms of audience expectations. See, again, if you, I'm sorry, I just like to see the old characters on the screen. I really do. We were missing Kincaid. It was the only one that I thought that would have been cool, but maybe that's where we could go next. Like, get that schedule working. I mean, come on. Not the Beyond the trailer, Grace Randolph says, not the best Scream movie, but not the worst either. Yeah. And while the third act is awful, the first two third acts are fun, scary, and it's still a good popcorn flick. And it is. Campbell and Cox still got it, while McHale and Lillard are a treat. Yeah, they are. They really are. A dull paint by numbers unimaginative sequel. Now, see again, the Scream franchise has totally lost steam. See, now this is the headline that a lot of people, and this is the consensus headline that people will want to go with this weekend. The Scream franchise has officially lost all of its ideas. It's out of steam. That's what people will be wanting me to say, but I'm not going to tell you that. Because oddly enough, as I said, I kind of like this film. Uh, with Scream 7, this franchise invites ridicule, but in a way people are likely to groan and laugh. The welcome return of Sidney Prescott character is surrounded by a bunch of recycled ideas and plot holes. Actually, you know what? For all the fans out there that had these ideas about how they would bring back Stu, this leans into all of that stuff. It really does. Even it brings in both sides. For all the people that thought that, okay, well, it's just stupid to bring back Stu, it addresses those concerns. It talks to those people. And then for all the people that were like, well, there's certain ways that he can come back, guys. Remember, there's certain ways. And maybe he'll inspire all these other people to come after her. And he's the real mastermind. And it all deals with that stuff. And all of that stuff is entertaining and interesting to me. I'm sorry. The script navigates trauma, protectiveness, defensiveness, secrecy, and other emotions with maturity. Yeah, and that's the key right there. Defensiveness, protectiveness, and secrecy. Because Sydney's trying to protect her daughter. She doesn't want her to get hurt, obviously, but she also doesn't want her to make same mistakes as she did. And there's a good in between couple of scenes between her and Isabel May where it's just like they're having it out. This is dramatic stuff. I'm digging this. So I can't quite agree with the critics being so low at 35%. You're going to watch a lot of bandwagon haters jump on this, but I think I'm probably going to be somewhere around this score because as much as people want that zing, that flair, that oh my god, you got to check out this movie because it does subvert expectations like the first movie. 78%, 80% there. And then sort of passing of the torch there with the newer cast, 76%, 82 there. I would say that that one was good too, but I would say actually Scream 6 is probably the weakest one, guys. And the critics were really uh, lenient on the second one, but the fans didn't really like the second one. But I think the second one is like my favorite one is still 1, 2. And then I still forgive 3 for a lot of its problems. I think a lot of cool stuff is going on in that one. I would say 1, 2, 3. And I know a lot of people like 4, but actually I think I like 7, 4, 5, 6. That's probably what the way that I would go. Because I'm just, as I said, I like being in this universe. I like that they're talking about some of these older characters. I think it's just a fun ride at the movies. So, with that being said, let's go over to my score sheet and wrap this up for Scream 7 and the watchability factors out of a possible 2 points. So, I would say if you are a fan of the franchise, go check this out in the theater. And if it's streaming, I think you'll want to check this out. So, that's a 7 out of 10 for Scream 7. Could I possibly give it any more? I am. I am. I'm going to give the story a 1.5. Oh, that's shocking, James. That's shocking. But it's mostly because of Stu, guys. Matthew Lillard just has so much fun in this role. And they need to be releasing marketing materials with him actually showing him now. Not just the voice, but just show him. And it'll get people talking about, well, how? How? This movie explores that idea. And I think that makes it worth watching. So let me know what you thought about Scream 7 in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, we also reviewed How to Make It Killing right here on Mirror Domains.